Hi everyone, this is Selena Kraus and welcome to another card video. In this video I'm featuring the LDRS Creative Beautiful Bloom stamp set, and we're gonna make this card that involves a little bit of watercoloring. So let's get started. Here this card set, and I have a piece of watercolor paper. What we're gonna do, we're gonna stamp the image twice in the lower left corner and then in the upper right corner, so we have a symmetrical image I'm using some Watermark ink, and then we're gonna emboss with white embossing powder and then just color. So let's get started. Positioning the stamp in the lower left corner where I want it to be, and I'm using Watermark ink to stamp that, but before that I use the anti-static powder. So when I apply the embossing powder, the powder doesn't stick where there's no stamped image. So I'm repeating that twice because the watercolor paper has a little bit of texture. I'm using cold press watercolor paper. So that will make sure that the ink goes into all the little creases of the paper, all the little grooves of the paper. Next time I'm applying the embossing powder and kind of flicking the cardstock, the paper, to make sure that all the excess is off the paper, and then just heat setting it with my heat tool. So now that that's done, I'll turn around my piece of watercolor paper and I'm going to stamp in the other corner. So I flip the paper for 180 degrees and I'm repeating the same process here. Just stamp that twice, and again I'm using my white embossing powder to apply some of my, over the stamped image and just heat set it. So now it's time for coloring. Here I have the stamp set on the right. Because I emboss with white, this helps me to see where I'm coloring or to know where approximately the image is and what is leaf, what is flower, so I don't end up coloring the leaves in pink or the flowers in green. So I'm using brush pens, watercolor brush pens, and I'm blending onto the paper and a watercolor brush to blend those colors. So for the big flower, I'm using two colors, pink and orange, and I'm applying on both sides of the petals, the base and the tip of the petal, and then just as I'm going from the base to the tip, I'm blending those colors in with the water brush. So you can see how this image is coming to life as I am adding more color and blending it in. So next I'll color the smaller flowers. Here I'm using fuchsia, like darker and lighter, and then just applying the color directly to the flowers and then blending it with the water brush. You can see how quickly this goes. And because this is watercolor, you can go outside the lines. That's fine. You can do as you want to. It's your own image, it's your own card. I like to stay within the lines, and an embossed image kind of helps doing that. So next I'm using coloring the little petals of the hydrangea in the center of the flower. And then we're just going to flip the image and color the other, flip the panel and color the other image the same way. So I'm just finishing this one up. So to make these images pop, I'm adding some pale gray around the stamped images. So this will make those images stand out because they're stamped, they're embossed in white and they're on white cardstock or watercolor paper. So just around the gray around the image makes them pop out of that, kind of be more defined. So you can see how that image on the left side, it's kind of more defined and it's kind of coming out of the page of the paper. So we're done coloring that, and I'm just gonna trim my panel a little bit down to 3 3/4 by 5, and then I'm gonna stamp a sentiment onto black cardstock. I'll use again Watermark ink and white embossing powder. So I'm just positioning that sentiment and stamping it with a Watermark ink pad and embossing it in white. So because I'm using a black card base, I decided to go with black cardstock for the sentiment strip to make it pop out of the page of the card too. So I'm trimming it down to 3 3/4 to match the watercolored panel. So now it's the last step, assembling the card. I have my card base, it's 4 1/4 by 11. I'm scoring it at 5 1/2 to create top folding note card. Next I'll use some foam tape to adhere that panel onto my card base. I'm just adding little strips in the middle there between the larger strips, and I'll just adhere it onto the panel, onto the card base. I'll do the same with the sentiment. I'll add some foam mounting tape on the back. Because my foam mounting tape is wider than the sentiment strip, I just trimmed it down lengthwise, and then I'm adhering it there in the middle of the card. So that's all for today. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit my blog, and as well visit the LDRS blog for more use of this card. The link will be down in the profile along with all the supplies. Thanks for watching and see you soon in another video. Bye!